Okay, hello, PLNs and other CHWs. We're going to talk about the health curriculum made by PLNs in 2024. And PLNs are the peer leader navigators out of Anchorage, Alaska. Our goals for today are to review the overall project and what we did. Then we'll discuss teaching adults in general and best practices. And finally, we will learn how to read and use a lesson plan that are included in this curriculum.
So this project happened in 2024, and so many of you PLNs were involved in this project. And so as a group, PLNs chose 8 important health topics, and also there were some people at Raise that were involved in ranking the topics, but that was kind of a joint effort. And then we worked in small groups to make health education materials for each topic. And what was exciting about this was that PLNs really were the drivers of the information. They chose the lesson objectives for each of the lessons to find out what people should know about it or what they know people in their communities needed to know. And this was really designed to be taught by trained community health workers for use around the state. So each topic is broken into 2 lessons. The first lesson covers the most important things that people should know about the topic. This is that really foundational, basic level. And it has a lesson plan with resources. There's a poster and a handout that's available in 8 languages. And this is really designed to be used at the health fair or in a small group setting. So you could use it in a classroom with a group or at a health fair. The second lesson kind of covers the next level of ideas, and this builds a deeper knowledge on the topic. And it has a lesson plan with resources and a presentation that can be used to teach it. And this is to use in the classroom or small group settings rather than at a health fair. It's a little bit different format, but it takes that topic a little deeper. And as you know, our 8 topics are medicine safety, nutrition, dental health, diabetes, germs and infection, physical activity, cancer prevention, and blood pressure, heart health.
All of this curriculum is available for free on our website, peerleadernavigators.org/curriculum. And as Rain said, this is really here for educators. It is designed like a curriculum, like someone who is going to read about the lesson first. Peerleadernavigators.org/curriculum. You can see all of our topics here, a little bit about the development. And then we can scroll down and see each of our topics in a snapshot. We can follow these links to go to the curriculum page or open the lesson plan or the handout or the poster directly. Some of the posters have accessory pieces that are attached with Velcro later, and that's what this is here. And you can also really quickly look at the main ideas. So if you're a community health worker working with immigrant clients, you can come through here and kind of browse and say, okay, this person has questions about medicine. I can look at these main ideas and see, is this going to cover what I want to share with this person? We can scroll all the way down and see these different things, these different topics.
And the main ideas are really what is covered in the first lesson, mostly.
Yes, thank you. And then we go a little bit deeper here. So like the first lesson for germs and preventing infection is learning how to wash your hands properly, when to wear a mask to protect yourself and others, and then knowing what germs are in the first place and how they spread, how to prevent that spread. And then the deeper level is you go a little bit more into infection. So let's look at this page. This is just for germs and prevention, preventing infection. The main ideas again, and a little bit more that this is the information that anyone who comes and interacts with this curriculum should walk away with this understanding if we're successful. And you start with the lesson plan or a teacher's guide. This is something that you want to read before you even get to the health fair, the week before. Look at it again the night before, just so that you review the overall purpose of this lesson, go through the learning objectives, be familiar with the material. And the clear talking points. And these are important because this is a big topic. There's a lot of information about germs and infection out there. But with this curriculum, we want to stay kind of focused because people won't remember everything you say. So we want to make sure we're saying the most important things so that they walk away learning those things. Also, some activity ideas, how to make it engaging. That's really important for adults learning. To commit it to memory, they need to be able to engage with the curriculum in some way. And so you can get ideas about how to do that here in the lesson plan. Scrolling down, then we get to the curriculum this is the link to the handout. You can see the handout. Once these other languages that have been translated and are in work now, those will be listed here for those other languages. And then we have our poster, and there's directions on how to print this out. If you're in another area outside of Anchorage and you need to print out your own poster, these are those directions. It's a 36 by 48 inch. We printed on a foam board, and we've just shared those exact directions, how you can duplicate the posters that we have. And I mentioned the accessories that we have. So this is printed on just regular paper. And then cut out, laminated, and put some Velcro on it so that you can interact with this activity here on the poster. And so each of these curriculum pages looks just like this. And it's for the CHW or educator to come through and prepare to teach this material. Okay. So now we're going to go into some basic teaching adults best practices, because adults learn a little bit differently than with kids. Like I mentioned earlier, they really need to be able to engage with the material, very visual, see what we're trying to explain. So our warm up for this, and this is for the PLNs here to answer, what creates a safe space for learning in general? Many of you have a lot of experience already, so I'm wondering about what you think creates a safe space.
Maybe, non-judgmental kind of attitude, because, people can be kind of apprehensive of what they're saying, of their accents, of their backgrounds. And I think like being open and just accepting no matter what they're saying would help them to learn.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you. Learning is really vulnerable as an adult because it feels like I'm an adult, I should already know things, and so it feels really vulnerable to learn.
Another thing we can say, we need to have a passion with the person and understand what the topic is important and have more, be careful with the language and try to talk in plain language, and don't forget the culture and all the basics.
Yeah, I love that. That's really important. Be careful with our language. Otherwise, we're just burying them in too much stuff, and then they can't engage with that. Yes, Aviva, I see you put in the chat that PLN speaking different languages. That definitely helps create a safe space because then they can get this information in their home language. I think that makes a huge difference. Go ahead,
Also
Pablo.
have like a have a have the same tone when you speak with the adult who speaks second language. Also lower the register when you talk to them, and try to slow down when you talk. And this is going to help them understand and feel comfortable, and avoid coming close to them if they speak a second language, and eye contact, and try to pause frequently when you talk to them to make sure that they understand what you're trying to explain.
Yes, excellent. Thank you. Yeah, and to people in the comments saying something similar, just make it easy, using simple words and pictures and making it relatable and being respectful. So yeah, I think you guys all got it right. And something unique about the Peer Leader Navigators and your role in educating people is that you help bridge the gap because by being approachable, all of you are very approachable and kind, social people, and that helps. And also you're able to make the content feel relatable because all of you being immigrants or refugees yourselves, you can really relate to what it's like to learn new things in a new country. Especially coming over as an adult and being in that really vulnerable position. And being able to provide cultural context, there's things there's just different considerations that you'll be able to be aware of and be able to share with people. And I think that's really powerful. And then also, like what was mentioned, the language diversity is huge. There's some things that just cannot be translated. And even if somebody is pretty proficient in English, maybe they kind of forget all of their words in a moment. And so it's just really nice to be able to speak comfortably in your home language about these really important topics. And all of these things really lower the barriers to learning. And this curriculum was made with English language learners in mind. And not only that, but new arrivals to the US, maybe coming from very, very different countries with very different infrastructure for education and exercise and all of the different things, and healthcare, of course. So there's a lot for them to learn every day, and it's very overwhelming. So you guys being a very warm sharer of information, I think makes a big difference. Okay, so some student-led practices that help us facilitate health education, and that's the role of the PLN, help people learn. Like we're just trying to make that whole process easier. And one of the most important things is to be able to adapt, which is adjusting to new conditions. And that's because what we want to do is build off of what they already know. All of the adult learners they all know stuff already. They have some information about healthcare and their bodies and their health. So we need to figure out what they know and then be able to build off of that. And so the only way to do that is be able to adapt, be flexible through your conversations. And that helps by being really prepared on the topic. That's why we want to read that lesson plan, have a really thorough idea of what you're trying to teach. And that way you can adapt to new things as they come. Maybe this is your plan, and then you got to draw a new one because this person came and actually they know a lot about diabetes already. So we got to shift it a little bit to still make the topic engaging for them. So another time for you guys to share. Describe a time you had to adapt your teaching material. You were teaching one thing and then you learned something about the person you were talking with and you had to change your strategy, do something different.
One thing is maybe when the person you feel is not interested in the topic and maybe is getting avoid you or something is not interesting, maybe it's time to maybe adjust the way you teaching, or maybe something is because it's boring, or maybe it's not interesting, or she's tired, maybe you need to adjust the way you teaching the material.
Great, thank you.
Another thing is just when you meet someone maybe that is at a higher level than the information you have, having some other interesting ideas that take that topic further can help you engage them. And maybe you realize that the information you have is too complex or too difficult for someone who is coming. They don't have the information that you are thinking they know, and you have to start a little bit differently and add even more information to that. That's why it's so important to find out kind of a little bit about what they know already, and then you know kind of where to help them get to the next level.
Yeah, either the level of the English, maybe I don't know if you teaching language, English is a second language speakers, and it's very important to check what is the level and the language you want to use with them.
Yeah. Katya?
Yeah, I also wanted to add from like our last health fair, when I was leading the medication safety table, some clients ask some questions, like they specifically pointed on some medications, or they specifically asked some questions that I had to answer, or sometimes they just said, okay, just tell me what you have here. And we just like followed the curriculum and just moved from one thing to the other one.
This brings up a good point I want to kind of come back to. I didn't mention, but we do have source material. We have additional sources in the lesson plan and also on all of the posters. And so this is a good way if someone's asking more complex questions or something and they need to know more, this is a good place to direct them. And there's QR codes there on the posters. You can pull it up there in the moment and have them pull it up on their phone, and you can help kind of guide them through the website. Okay, another student-led practice to facilitate health education is assume students have wisdom to share. Like we talked about finding that wisdom, but it's like no matter who they are, they definitely have complex lived experiences that help make them have, they have some wisdom. And this, again, that the learning can feel very vulnerable. So when we help find the things that they are wise about, we're each learning from each other. They're sharing, they're feeling like they're contributing to this whole process, and they're learning new things. And I think that's really important to help adults learn effectively. Finding and praising that wisdom. And related to that is let them demonstrate what they learn, right? That helps them feel wise too. Like they can learn new things, and they can show that they're developing. And ways that you can do that are make really clear question prompts so they know when it's their turn to engage, and making sure that you prepare them for that so they don't feel put on the spot when it's their time. Like they're like, okay, I was ready for this question. I have learned enough material that I'm ready to answer this, and then they can show some success there. And activities are another great way to have them demonstrate what they learn. I'm going to come and show the Be Safe with Medicine. This poster is a really fun activity that we have where we have the different medicine labels, and then there's some questions and answers. So this is extremely engaging. They have a chance to demonstrate what they learn, what they know, what is the name of this medication. They can come up here on this label and see where they can find it, and then feel ready to tackle the other one as well. They're able to.
And there are flaps that cover the answers. So it just has the question on it. And then, so they have to look before they can see the answer, and then they can check it to see if they're right. So
it's really fun. And it's exciting even for people, whether they know a lot about medication already or they don't, it's still engaging. Maybe this is a more challenging activity, but even if it's somewhat easy for them, it's still a way that they can show you that they know what you're trying to share. And adults in general like to do that. They want to share their wisdom. Okay, our next check-in. How do you get people interested in your topic? Especially at health fairs, we talked about our health fair that we have at the library, and it's the guests are just people coming to return their library book. They're not really there to see our table. So how do we get them interested in our topic?
The display, the posters need to be like displayed and clear to them, so they won't be distracted by other items on the table. Also, how the table is really organized, like try to rest for the presenter, be rested and dress up like, I'm not saying like dress to impress, but at least wearing something that you look like a professional, where people are interested to know what you have and the knowledge that you know.
Yes, very good. Thank you.
Another way could be to talk to them friendly. Yeah, talk to them friendly, welcome them with a nice smile, or asking them, what do you know about this topic? So let them first to talk and then start with the teaching. That could be a good way to start or to get them to hook in the
Very
topic.
good. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Katia. I see you say eye contact. Yes, definitely. I think that professionalism does really matter to adult learners. You know, it matters. They want to feel like your peers, that they can respect you, especially from different cultures. Sometimes teachers have get a lot of respect. Sometimes in the US, our teachers can be very casual and these relationships can be casual, but in other places, it's more professional and they're expecting more of their teachers.
Also, with these new materials, they do really look professional. They turned out so beautiful and they're very engaging just because they're beautiful and clear, as Fadwa was saying, and that catches your eye. And if you're ready for when you see that they're looking at it, then you can invite them to come and check it out.
Yeah, maybe you're following their eyes, seeing what they're looking at, and then you talk about that part.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's sometimes the colors. So they say, "What is you need to like? What is happening here?" And it's when you need to go over.
Mhm. Great, thank you. So you guys really understand these things, but these are some ideas, like especially in a classroom setting, or when you have a little bit more of an organized small group and you're teaching these things, you want to make sure you're outgoing, very friendly and social, and then they feel more comfortable. They feel more able to be friendly and social because you're leading that. Be concise. This adjective means being as simple as possible, as simple as possible. Cut out all of the extra words and just be very direct, especially if if you're speaking in your home language with somebody, then you can maybe be, say as much as you want, but especially if there's some kind of language barrier, make sure you are saying as little as you can while still being clear. Don't bury them in too much information because everybody knows what it feels like when you go and stay in an hour-long class and you're like, I remember some of that, but not most. And it's always going to be the case. So just really be careful not to give them too much, because it's always going to be a little bit too much. So don't go over. And be respectful of time. This can be really hard to do, and it's easy to chat sometimes, especially about a topic you're really comfortable with. So make sure you follow the lesson plan and understand how much time you have to do each part in order to finish everything you want to finish. And then have a variety of materials so students can hear, see, and practice what they learn. That's because that's how adults learn. They need to be able to engage with the material. And some people might be really visual. Some people really need to kind of touch things like this. Toothbrushing model is really great to help explain to people how they need to do all around their tooth, all around all their different teeth. So all of those materials help. And then repeat the main points in many different ways. This curriculum is made with that in mind, where our handout and our posters say the exact same things. Sometimes it's the exact same sentence, and those main ideas come up again and again. And that's because that's how adults learn. They're not going to remember everything we say, but the things that we repeat over and over again, those are the things they're going to remember. And that's also why it's important to be as simple as possible, because we want to say things actually in the same words if we can. Say it the exact same way over and over again, and that's going to help them remember. And especially as we talk about health topics like blood pressure and diabetes. And we, are not nurses. Most PLNs are not anyway, so we were really careful about the language that we used, and we continue to develop that language to make sure it's accurate. And then we want to follow that language so that we're passing on really accurate information to people.
Another thing is good to teach to be a visual, special like show the things to them and try. Sometimes as adult you ask why is this, and but sometimes it's difficult to say why, answer the why, but at least to explain how work. and the person, they can maybe understand and think about it, about the problem or the situation. For example, the picture is so good because I'm there, yeah.
Mhm.
Because the picture is you make visual to the people, and that's when the people is gonna remember that you say many words,
Mhm.
and that's the most for me. It's so good you have a visual thing.
Mhm. Absolutely. Okay, what to do when? There are some things, these things happen more often in a classroom setting, but they're really common that there's some issues that you might encounter and what you can do about it. The first one is students are just not interested. They're bored, they're not engaged, and we did already talk about that a little bit. And so just have a plan B. Maybe you're trying some activity and it's just not landing, then throw it out, do something else instead. Just adapt, pick up something else, staying in the lesson plan and in our main ideas, but trying something else within that.
Stand up, maybe stand up or move,
Yeah.
or say maybe.
Yeah, maybe changing the topic for a minute and, kind of just doing a stretch if it's physical activity, and then just bringing them back to something that's new and might be more engaging. Error 2 is if a student is offended or argumentative about a topic. This can happen like vaccines, like with cancer prevention. We, in the second level, we talk about vaccines and the HPV vaccine, and that is not everybody's favorite topic. Some people don't want to be encouraged to have vaccines. They definitely don't want to be encouraged to have the HPV vaccine because some people associate that with sexual activity and things like that, even though it's not just about that. But if someone gets offended or is upset about this topic and starts to argue with you about it, we want to make sure that we give them your full attention. Don't be dismissive, because we're here to make connections with people. I mean, we do want to pass on this information, but first we want to make a connection with this person, especially if they don't like this topic, because those are the people we want to continue to talk with, continue to break down their apprehensions, find out why don't they like this. If they do really associate the HPV vaccine with sexual activity, we can start to break that down, but not there in that moment. In that moment, we're just going to listen to them. We're going to understand their point of view, explain that, okay, well, we're just here to share this curriculum. You don't have to accept, it's not required that they believe what we're here to share. And so you're just trying to diffuse that situation. You can apologize if it's appropriate, but it doesn't have to be, you don't have to apologize if you didn't do anything wrong. Just making sure you're listening and being open to them and their perspective. Any questions or comments about that or experiences with that? Okay. And then
Have there been times when people were uncomfortable with the cancer prevention and the breast models and looking for or the breast cancer self-exam? Has that been a sensitive topic?
I'd love to hear, Zabiba, your response on that, because I know Zabiba's taught about cancer prevention and breast cancer awareness for a long time, if you'd be willing to share.
Yeah, when we do the group presentation, sometimes the man in the side the room, they step out. They don't want to. They don't want to hear, or they don't want to practice. The breast model. Yeah. Most women is there excited to learn and then to know about the outcome, about the preventing early the cancer. Most of them, they ask why we are doing this. The question is why is important this, and then we can explain to them the early stages, the survival rates, the 4th stage, we can explain to them, and then they understood, oh, okay, some of them have a family member, or friend, they have a cancer, they know about it, like they don't know, but they hear about it, and then they want to learn more. But some of them, they say, okay, radiation is damage our breast, and then we don't want to do this one. We respect that. We can hear different idea or conversation with the client, but at the end of the day we have to respect, and then more question when they have, I encourage them, that's a good idea, and then take your healthcare provider that can explain to you more. But yeah, it's very important. This is to word out, prevent, to eliminate or to prevent the cancer or any other like dental care or diabetic, high blood pressure. All those topics is very beneficial for our community, for us. Yeah.
So really focusing on why it's important that they know about it.
Yeah.
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 Sometimes the topic is a culture thing,
Yep.
and that's is about woman or man. That's you not talk in front the woman about that in front the man, or vice versa. And that's very important to know when we need to talk, and what is the time, the place, and the person to talk about the topic, especially with the cancer, or about the cervical cancer or the another type. That's no is too much open for the persons.
And when you're in a public place with information, it's a little harder to pick who comes to the table. So that's what I was curious about.
Yeah,
That's.
Mhm.
But you can, when you start talking with the person, and you feel if the person is comfortable with that, and you can identify. And when you see the person is like it's not talking, or maybe turn around or something, maybe it's time to stop, and maybe it's not talk about that, and maybe change it to no special for the breast, talk to a special. Oh, we have another cancer. We have about the colon or something like this, to not make uncomfortable the person, but at least they can receive the information.
And that's a great example of adapting the information for a different learner, because you're paying attention to what they're telling you with their body language, and then changing what you're talking about. That's a great example, Marisol.
Great, thank you. And also leaving space, be like, okay, this lesson isn't for you. That's okay. We can have this other activity, this backup idea for you to do, and just being respectful for them. So thank you.
The whole affair, one of the client, he was a community health worker, and back home we didn't know, however, he said, yeah, I was in the community health worker back home, and I know this, the choking and then the CPR. I asked him, how about your wife? He said, no. Okay, can she practice her? Can we practice with her? She said, yes. And then the kids and then the family practicing about choking, and then about the choking and CPR. And sometimes, yeah, people know, like Katia, she said, some of them, even some family member know, some family, within the same family, they don't have information what they have.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you so much. Okay, my last one on this topic is what to do when a student talks too much over others. There's some people really like being students. I'm actually one of those people, if there's like questions to answer, I'm ready to answer them, and so that's something for the teacher to manage. That's a classroom management thing. So some things you can do is call on others directly, like call them by name, point to them directly, to start getting other students to answer some of those questions. And also, if the person keeps saying, starting to answer, you can say, let's make sure we hear from everyone today, or just like a really gentle way to say, like, we want to make sure everyone gets a chance to share and engage a little bit. But that can be a little delicate, because the person is really eager to learn. You love that. That's a good thing. But we want to make sure there's other people who get to engage as well, because that engagement is how they learn. If the person is just standing there, just listening to someone else engage, they're not getting the same education. So we want to make sure everyone can engage as much as possible. And kind of like what Zabiba was saying, where it's like a man and his wife or something, making sure both of them have a chance to get the lesson and engage with the lesson.
Also, can I add to this part? Like, sometimes students are shy or they worry that they're gonna make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So pair them up. So make them work in pairs and take turns. And let's say, okay, partner A, talk. Partner B, talk. You have to learn, discuss it with
Mhm.
each other. And makes it really fun, and they can communicate with each other and they feel comfortable.
Yes, they can make a friend.
Yeah. And the fear will be slowly, like will
Mhm.
disappear.
Yes, thank you. Okay, we're on our last section now about lesson plans.
So I wanted to share a little bit about the lesson plans that are in this curriculum and how to use them, and just so you kind of understand what the parts are. Next slide. So a lesson plan really is that idea of being prepared and thinking about what you're teaching, who the audience is going to be, how you're going to get your messages across, and then checking for that understanding to see if your students understand. So each of the lessons in this unit have a lesson plan that goes with it. And so it'll say part 1 or part 2 at the top of the lesson plan. This is your guide to the topic and the main ideas that you want the people to learn. So it goes through the main ideas, the materials that are included in that lesson, activity ideas, and it has more resources so that you can answer questions that kind of go beyond the learning objectives. And we showed you that a little bit earlier, but just kind of going over the pieces again. So you can see the picture on the right. This is for the blood pressure lesson, that there is an overview. So just kind of the big picture, what are you talking about? And then it goes into the learning objectives. What do you want your students to learn today? And the materials that you should have with you to be able to teach these things. And then, so you're using this to really prepare to teach a topic. And the main ideas you want people to learn are called learning objectives. So we use that term as educators to be those main ideas. The lesson plan has those learning objectives and then talking points for each of the main ideas to give you a little bit more or ideas for how to explain it. And then lesson 1 for each topic has activities to do with the poster or other teaching objects to also help you teach those main ideas. And evaluation questions help you know if you got the main ideas across. So it's kind of a restating of the lesson objectives, but as a question. And so you can check for understanding. So on the blood pressure poster, the learning objective might have been they want to know what is blood pressure. So then at the end, you can find out if you were successful in teaching that by asking them, what is blood pressure? So they kind of go hand in hand on either side. And we'll see this at the end that Erin told you today what our learning objective was. And I'm going to check to see if we got there or not at the end. So it's good to check with the learner to see if they understand the main ideas. And then just so you know, at the end, there might be other questions and answers that's a little bit different each lesson, what we included at the end, but most of them have the sources and more, links for more. So I'd like to ask and see how you use learning objectives or those main ideas. How do you use them either when you're preparing for a health fair or while you're actually interacting with people that come to the health fair? Are you thinking about those learning objectives?
Oh, this is Fadwa.
Yeah.
So what I want to say, like, how do you use learning objectives? So let's say I'm teaching a lesson about nutrition. If I want to talk about carbohydrate, protein, then talking about fat. So my goal is I want them to know what's carbohydrate. So I want them to talk about the 5 different, components for the nutrition: carbohydrate, protein, then go with the fat, then dairy products, and so on. So I want to make sure they know what's carbohydrate and with the examples. And if I want to ask them, I can show them. I use the visual if the English is their second language, because I might say, "Oh, noodles," and I don't know have noodles in my language, but I know macaroni. I know macaroni. I have it in my language, and even if it's sound and rhyme, I can make a connection. So then I do a scaffold at the end, make sure that I'll ask some questions and make it like a fun, like a game.
And just check back with them on those main ideas that you really wanted to get across.
Exactly.
Yeah, it sounds like you were describing kind of like you use it like a checklist, like making sure you've got all of those things.
Exactly.
And also the conversation that you might have might wander, or they might ask a different question, but you can come back to those learning objectives to make sure that you really did cover the main things you wanted them to walk away with. Any other examples about how to use a learning objective or that you use them?
Also, there is like, the medication poster. So we have, we talk about everything. Then we say, okay, let's play this game. And the question is outside. Then they say the answer. Then we flip. Then we read the answer. And they feel sometimes they're winning if they know the answer for something they just learned like 10 minutes ago. And you see the light bulb is like glowing in their eyes and they have a big smile and grin. Cheer them up. And try to do the correction. Don't interrupt them. Do the correction. Then say, yeah, you are close. Instead of saying, no, that is incorrect.
Right. Yep. That's a really nice way to say it, to keep it friendly and fun, but still be able to redirect. And I love that you're talking about, you have the thing that you're trying to teach them or that you talk to them about, and then you use that activity to reinforce those main ideas. So that really helps you get to those learning objectives and that they walk away with what you wanted them to learn. Thank you for that. Okay, next slide.
Right, so here, these are the things the PLN or CHW should do before a health fair to be most prepared to share this topic and be knowledgeable so that people are interacting with you. They feel like you're confident with the material, that you know what you're there to share about, and then they can feel ready to learn from you. So you want to make sure that you review and read the curriculum. So in this case, it would be going to this website. Whoop. If you are assigned medication safety, that you would come here to the website, read through the main ideas, read through the lesson plan, of course, the curriculum, the handout, the poster, and just really, honestly, reading all of these words, even if you've done it before, even if you have already done a health fair where you shared medicine safety before, it won't take you that long to just come through and read every word on this poster. And then you're prepared and you're ready. You just looked at this, you remember everything that's on it. And that's going to help you remember what to prioritize. And all physical material and models for your topic. And this will depend on where you work. At ALP, we have our own collection. At Alaska Literacy Program, we have our own collection of physical materials and models. But if you're teaching this out of Delta Junction or another place, you will have your own material. So just knowing what that is, or if you still need to find some of your own, there are a lot of models available that work with these topics that we've chosen. And then you can also look deeper into the topic with other reliable sources. We've talked about how some people are going to have more complicated questions, and you do not have to answer those. We are here to be facilitators of health education. We're helping them learn, but we are not necessarily, experts on these topics. We have well-researched some things, and we have some reliable sources of information, and we can stay in that box. But because we have these links for other reliable information, you can follow those links. Like if on diabetes, if we link to Medline Plus, which we do, you can read that whole web page. And that's going to tell you a little bit more that goes beyond our learning objectives, beyond our main ideas. And that can help you be more prepared. But that's not as important as these two things. Being very familiar with the curriculum, being very familiar with what physical material you'll have to engage with are the most important things. And then if there's time, reading deeper into the topic. And you want to make sure you really understand the key 3 to 5 messages for your topic. Those will be your main ideas. And if there's any key supplements or anything like that, but you really want to stay focused. The only time you go outside of these is if you're talking with somebody who knows a lot more than those key materials, and then you can start to engage higher. But really try to stay focused where you can. Understand any time constraints. If you're at a tabling event, you probably have like 3 minutes max. You know, like someone is going to come to your, well, and it depends. Sometimes I won't say max, because sometimes you do have someone that stays at your table and you engage with, but you might only have a couple of minutes with somebody. So again, making sure you're pretty focused, that you start with the important things, and go from there. And then also knowing where the question prompts or activity points are in a lesson. And then some students may want to go straight to that activity, but you want to make sure that they're prepared to engage in that activity, and that so that they can feel that success. It does feel good when you get an answer right. So we want to make sure we're setting them up for success, know where those question prompts and activities are, and then if you can, try to help them build up to those things so that they can get the most out of this activity. And then the last thing is practice with a friend. Many PLNs are friends with each other. So it's a great opportunity to practice with each other. And you both really understand what needs to be done. So you pretend to go to your friend's table and be like, oh, tell me about medication safety. What's this? And then you just practice with that friend, and you can make it fun.
Because especially if you've read through everything, it's different when you talk it out. So if you've practiced actually explaining what you're going to say, it makes it so much easier than when you are in that situation at the day that you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Especially because you will definitely be doing a lot of it in English. You know, you'll be able to do some in your home language, but you'll be doing much of it in your second or third language. And you guys know that that makes it harder. So practicing the English part too. Okay, and this is our last kind of check-in question. Share an impactful moment or connection you made through this curriculum that we made. Many of you have taught, actually all of you have taught this curriculum one place or another. And so any impactful moments while you were doing that? Is somebody like really clicked or?
So this is Fadwa. You know, like one of the impactful moments that I experienced with during the health fair is when I was running the medication safety. And the first thing the language learner were looking at, you know, they looked at the spoon and they saw the big X, and they knew that you're not allowed to use it. And when we have all the items like the measurement that you can use, so they're asking, where do we get these? Where do we get this thing? And I said, oh, the pharmacist has it for free. And they learned something, and we were using the dish soap, and we were showing them the measurement. It's different between 1 full spoon, different than 5 ml. It's totally different. And they were like, it was an eye-opening because they saw it's like, this is more. So they either giving their kids more than they needed or less than the amount. And it was like, you know, an aha moment, because they realize they making poor choices, but it's not intentionally. It just happened because bad habits. We used it all over the world, and we use this as a measurement. But now they start using the syringe. Also, when we talk about the medication and you overdose yourself with, if you take NyQuil that has Tylenol, and you take has ibuprofen, then you take an ibuprofen that you're like you're overdosing yourself with ibuprofen. And they start paying attention by reading the information in the back of medication. You don't just take it because somebody told you, but now it's better to read the instructions and the ingredients in each medication, like active ingredients and the precautions.
Mhm.
Definitely. And that's a great point. I brought up this picture from our poster to show kind of what you were talking about with the measurements. We show that 5 milliliters looks really different depending on how you're measuring it, and a spoon isn't at all. Like that's not even in the running. And then we have these models for our table so that people can see what it might look like. Great. And Marisol, I saw you came off mute as well. Do you want to share an impactful moment or connection?
Yeah, like I was say in the health fair, that's I was in the cancer prevention, and when one person they go close to and they come in, it's a woman and it's a man, and but it's coming separate, but the man is listening what I say to the woman. And when I finish to talk to the woman, I turn to him and say, "Do you wanna listen the information?" He say, "Yes." He say, "I never think the woman, the men, they can get a cancer in the breast." And it was not just only because the men, you have a family, they make impact just to listen to another person, and they wanna get more information about. And they say, and you can, and he's so excited to touch and show me how I need to do and all the stuff. And they say, you make impact, and maybe it's not a check by yourself, but they impact, and they can maybe share this information with another person or another man's or woman's or something like this.
Yeah.
A great example. Thank you for sharing. As Aviva said, when we explained to the client about how much sugar is in the drink, the client was shocked and immediately said that they must switch soft drinks to water. And this is something that is uniquely American. We actually have more sugar in our drinks than other places. It might be like the same soda or the same juice or the same ketchup or bread, but our food and our drinks have even more sugar than they're used to. And she goes on to say, also, when we talked about how much sugar is in other foods, the client was just as shocked about how easily someone's blood sugar can be raised. They said they want to change their eating habits. And so that's great. We made the information very clear. And because it is alarming, and they felt alarmed. So that's good. We were successful in that message that you have to be really careful with our food here and with sugar.
And when you show them how many cubes of sugar, right, that visuals, like Marisol was saying, using a visual, it sticks with you. And next time you go to drink a glass of juice and you picture all those sugar cubes, maybe you choose something else. Marisol?
Yeah. Yes, I want to share too. When we have a presentation with Linda, and they show you about the diabetes, and when they show me how when you have diabetes and when you don't have a diabetes, how work the blood, and that's for me is forever. Like I never it's when I start seeing, and everybody, you can see the face for everybody that would say, I love it, this one, because I really understand what is the diabetes. Because sometimes it's the diabetes because you take too much sugar, but sometimes it's not the way. And we have a no good education for about, because you say in my country, we say you have diabetes because you eat too much sugar or candies and all the stuff, and sometimes it's not the way. We don't think the rice or another thing they have good something they can your body
The carbohydrates.
yeah. And that's the big impact when you I see what this it's so different, and that's the way your body you understand this. Now I understand why my body starts getting problems with my feet, with my earrings, in my eyes, and all the stuff, because your body is not working.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Also, I want to add, just I was typing, but I want to say also about the dental care. When we're doing the dental care, as most people, they don't know, every 3 months they change the toothbrush. every 6 months they have to do, clean in the professional dentist in the clinic, and then every year should see, the dentist to get exam. And then also most of them they don't know the valuable to brush the teeth in the morning and in the afternoon 2 times a day. When we discuss with them, and then they say, wow, I will do that, from now to go, because most of them, they have a Medicaid. And then also we share, some people, they don't have a Medicaid, we share the UAA hygiene clinic. They say, we will do that from now to go. And then the benefit to brush the teeth, not to get the damage, not to get the cavity. When we explain to them this one, and they say, okay, we will do this from now to go for ourselves and then for our family. That's fantastic.
So we just want to check in. Did we reach our learning objectives tonight? Do you feel like you have understand what the PLN Health Curriculum Project includes? And did you learn some things about teaching adults? And did you learn how to read and use a lesson plan? So hopefully the answers to those questions are yes.
Yeah, like maybe do like the thumbs
Yes.
up emotion or whatever, the reaction.
Yeah, I think so. That's important, and it's a simple curriculum. It's not complicated to understand, and you gave a good tips about how work with adults. And thank you so much.
Thank you. So just a couple other slides I just want to make sure are included in this video is all of the amazing peer leader navigators who worked on this project, and in so many ways, and their good thinking. I just want to acknowledge this amazing group of people who worked on this. And so each topic has the names of the PLNs that worked on them. And the next slide. PLNs also have been working on translating the handouts. We did initially translate them, but they need to be corrected and reviewed. And so PLNs have been doing that. And thanks again to all the PLNs who helped with this. So I just want to say that for Erin and I, who worked on this project, it was really a pleasure to work with all of you. And we supported the design work and coordination and facilitation of the topics. And this project was funded by the Alaska Office for Refugees through federal refugee health promotion grants in partnership with the Refugee Assistance and Immigration Services, or RACE. And it was created by Alaska Literacy Program in Anchorage, Alaska. So thank you so much.